Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Access Granted, the Pod's Dream. Your boy, Mr. Antoine, is in the building with you as always, and I want to thank everybody that's here already. I like when the early birds arrive. That means somebody's going to be paying attention to me for about an hour or so. Want to give some special prayers out to my co-host, my sis, Alenia Renee. She won't be here with us tonight as she had to tend to a medical emergency for her daughter, but thankfully her daughter is home resting right now. So just shouts out to my girl, Selena. Prayers are definitely up for you, sis. And also, we definitely can't start this show without sending our thoughts and prayers to the family of DJ K. Slay, who unfortunately passed away, I believe, last night. Due to complications from COVID, from what I understand. And every time I hear about another person losing the battle to COVID, I just have to shake my head at the people that still to this day, 2 hours and, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives at this point lost due to, this virus or whatever it is that you want to call it. And we're still losing people. And I still see, a lot of people that, either never took it seriously or, thought that this was a scam by the government and all of this kind of stuff. It's just crazy, man. But, DJ K. Slade to me was DJ Khaled before DJ Khaled was even thought about, honestly. He, along with a lot of DJs back in the day, were the ones to me that really took the mixtape game to an enormous level. And K. Slay, man, he was 10 toes down for New York all day, every day. He was unapologetically New York. He grew up and became different, I believe, as he got older, because K. Slay was very reckless back in the day. Boy, he would talk it. His name was DJ Slap Your Favorite DJ for a reason for a while, man. But definitely I know that there's a lot of people in the hip hop community, especially from New York, that are really gonna feel the loss, because he touched so many, he put so many on. He represented, not only from a DJ standpoint, but he also had an opportunity to do stuff on the radio side as well. So definitely a huge loss for the hip hop community. And again, just some thoughts and prayers out to the family and to all his fans and friends as well. Hate when we got to start the show like that. But life happens. But in the building with me this evening, she has to be one of the hardest working young women, hardest working people, period. I'm not even going to genderize it. That I've met since I've been in the game. And I have to give her a shout out on like every other show that I do, because it seems like every other show that I do, at least every other show, the guest is someone that I've met through my guest tonight. And I've been trying to get up here, man. She's been ducking me for like 6 months. She claimed she was sick, and then she was no, but MJ Savino, 4-time Publicist of the Year, Hip Hop Connex, and all of that stuff. Welcome. I finally got you here. MJ.
You finally got me.
Finally got you here. And I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this one for a while.
Me too.
So when you finally committed to a date, I was like, yes, I finally got to a date. But I understand, with all that you do, just your roster and the amount of people that you're working with, I definitely understand. And then I know at one point you did actually get sick. I was saying that in a joking manner, but you did, get sick for a second. And of course, I wasn't going to, harass you during those times, but it's definitely an honor and a privilege. And I just really want to thank you. Ever since day one, I think when we've connected, especially since I started doing this particular show, you've connected me with some amazing guests. And, I look forward to those email blasts, every now and then, and I can skim through, and see who I'm interested in bringing on. So I definitely appreciate you for that and all of the hard work that you do.
Of course. And thank you so much for having me. It's definitely a pleasure to be on. And, it's funny because a lot of the radio hosts say the same thing, but, I have my publicist hat on. So I'm geared to, well, let's put my artists on first. Let's let them shine first. And then I'll come back.
Yeah. And that I can definitely understand because I believe it's probably the publicist hat that pays a lot of the bills and,
yes,
all the things that you do. So we definitely understand that being first. But, this is going to be great because this is actually a learning experience for me tonight because outside of the emails, I don't really know MJ. So tell us a little bit about yourself. And I told you earlier, I'm from Baltimore. Where are you checking in from?
Right. I'm checking in from South Jersey.
Okay.
Right around the Atlantic City border. So I'm kind of, in the middle of Philly and New York, which is ideal for me.
So if you're on the New Jersey Turnpike heading up to AC, chances are we're going to pass you, correct?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Definitely.
Gotcha. I haven't been to Atlantic City in forever. I went to Atlantic City the day after Tracy Morgan was in the
wow. Okay.
With the Walmart truck on, I believe that was a turnpike.
Yeah.
And it was kind of eerie because it was literally less than 24 hours. And as we're driving up the turnpike, you could still see parts of the vehicles all over the road, and that was crazy. And, God bless, the fact that he's still here with us because just from looking at the debris that was on the road that day, you could tell that it was a major accident. But that's probably the last time I've been in Atlantic City, man.
That was a while ago too.
Yeah. And
definitely.
But yeah, tell us a little bit about MJ. I need to get to know MJ because I need to know the person that's on the other side of all of these emails and stuff that I get.
So MJ came about, I want to say maybe, 10 years ago, in the music industry. I've always had the nickname MJ. And it's funny, I've been a social worker. I was a social worker for about 15 years before I hung up the hat and decided to do this full time. And one of the drug and alcohol programs that I worked in, a couple of the, clients there would refer to me as MJ. Now, I'm not a Spider-Man fan or all that stuff. That's not me. So I had no clue what they meant when they kept calling me MJ. And then someone actually broke it down. And so it kind of stuck with me over the years. And then when I came into, the world of music and entertainment, it kind of stuck and it just felt right. So I kept that name MJ. Which is good actually in a way, because in the beginning when I first came out and I had the name MJ, I didn't really have a lot of pictures of myself. I was promoting my brand so much. I was just putting my logo everywhere. So when people would hit me up for services, they didn't know if they were talking to a man or a woman, which I liked because the hey honey, the hey sweetie, the hey ma, and you know what I mean? I'm quick to shut that down right away.
And for the record, I never did that.
No, you never did.
For the record, let the record show.
Yes, let the record show. No, definitely not. You're not in that category at all. That's too funny. Too funny. But yeah, like I said, I was a social worker for about 15 years. And it's kind of ironic because social work and the music scene really go hand in hand in so many different aspects. So after that, I kind of hung up the hat. It was time to leave social work. I was getting a little burnt out after 15 years. And I've always been writing. I've been a published poet since I was 9. So writing and music have always been a part of me, no matter what I'm doing in life or what I was doing in life. So I started blogging for some blogs. Shout out to Lyrically Fit and UTM Radio in Philly. They really opened up the door for me. They welcomed me to their platform. I was blogging for them, doing some interviews. And from there, it kind of just took off. To other blogs were reaching out to me for me to, contribute to their site. Some indie artists were hitting me up randomly to help promote themselves and their music and their brands. So it kind of just, took off from there. You know what I mean? I will say the first year that I did put myself out there, I mean, anyone that has their own business, I'm sure can relate. It's very nerve-wracking. You don't know what's going to happen. Can I do this? Is this going to be able to pay the bills? All that goes through your mind. So the first year was just really a lot of knuckling down, networking, building, all of that stuff, putting myself out there. And it definitely paid off. Definitely.
I want to go back to the social work part a little bit.
Yes.
My wife, being now a social worker, probably for the better part of 12 years or so. Actually, I want to maybe say a little bit longer than that. I can't remember exactly when she got her degree, but I can definitely understand the burnout that
yes.
you probably felt in that field, because I see it on a day-to-day basis, with her.
Right.
Her working in different facilities. And my wife, and I'm not just saying this to get brownie points, she's very good at what she does. And she goes above and beyond the norm, I believe, for her patients.
Right.
And she really has this love, for working with older, adults. But it can be so taxing,
Yes.
When you're in a facility, like hers, where you can leave work and a person, will be alive, and an hour later you get a phone call saying that patient has died, or you go to work the next morning and the patient's not there.
Yeah.
And dealing with dealing with patients' families can be
right.
Really, really taxing. And sometimes every now and then, she'll call me throughout the day, and I can tell by the tone of her voice that she's a tough one, or she'll come home, sometimes, and just take a shower and get a glass of wine and just go to bed. Those are the days that, I say I could never be a social worker, because I can't, it's not for everybody.
No.
So I commend you for sticking in, with it that long. I don't know, the capacity that you were doing it with, but it's really, it takes a special heart to do social work. And I think that
it does.
I think that people that are outside of that realm, that don't understand it or don't have any kind of connection with it, don't really understand it. I truly didn't understand until, my wife started doing it. And, there's been some times when I want to, tell her to call me when a particular family member is there, so I can pay a visit to see what the problem is. But, I know that, we can't do that because, she needs a job. So, but yeah, it's very taxing. So I definitely commend you for doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So how did you transition from the writing and the blogging over to actually becoming a publicist? And I didn't mention this, but she's 4-time publicist of the year, by the way, y'all. And the work that I see her put in on a daily basis, it's probably going to be 4 or 5 more.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
so again, I guess it kind of just transitioned by itself, because I was doing the blogs, I was doing the magazines, artists were hitting me up for some promotion. And then I just kind of sat down one day and just kind of like mapped everything out and did a blueprint and really, really kind of like researched the definition of a publicist. And I was like, well, holy shit, that's everything that I'm doing plus more. So, wow, I do have a role, and, I can do this. And, I think that really helped me know you have to break down the different roles, publicist, manager, booking agent, talent buyer, digital, marketing team, all that, because everyone has their specific roles. So, I made it a point for me to kind of stay in my publicist bubble, and I still make it a point to stay in my publicist bubble. So a publicist, so my role pretty much is to, if an artist does not have any presence, we're going to give them a presence. Whether it's, they need social media branding, they need a social media presence. putting music out there, building a brand, building a fan base, and then keeping them consistent in the public eye and consistent in the music industry. No gaps at all. It has to be consistent and it has to be ongoing. So there's that. A lot of people think that a publicist will get you paid shows, will get you streams on Spotify and we'll sell your merch and do all that. That's not us.
That's not
a publicist is really not in charge of making sure you get monetized in any way. See your manager for that, your booking agent and things like that. That's a door that I really don't want to open. I'm comfortable in my publicist bubble and that's where I shall stay. So some of the different things that we do is getting artists on blogs, getting artists featured in magazines, doing different radio campaigns with artists, whether it's strictly just FM or, some internet stations as well, nationally, internationally, spins, rotation, interviews, anything that's going to keep them relevant in the industry is really what we're going to do. Album listening parties, listening sessions, things like that. Social media marketing and artist development. That's a big one. Artist development is a major, major thing, that I definitely take pride in that I do, because now that we're in this tech world, there is no artist development. There's no more A&Rs. Everything is done via the internet. So one of the things I definitely like to, educate, especially the younger guys coming into the game, is that they really need to have a backup plan. Back in the day when people would put music out, it was also boots to the ground, feet to the ground. There was no social media to promote. You had to promote yourself. You had to promote your music, selling CDs out of your trunk, putting postcards everywhere, going to every club where the DJ was at, all that stuff.
Had to have a street team to help.
Absolutely. The street team. Exactly. And it's non-existent nowadays.
So just in that last 3 minutes, you literally answered about 4 other questions that I was going to ask you. But so you built these relationships with the artists, with some artists, but so is your business basically, I know you do a hell of a lot of networking. You have to in this business, but
every day.
Is this more like a word of mouth thing with you being able to get some of the clients that you have? Or is this just literally you just reaching out and saying, hey, I know you don't have a publicist, or are you looking for a publicist? Or is it kind of like a combination of the two?
In the beginning, it was me putting myself out there, literally like just sending, my speech and my pitch out to every artist, sending blasts to artists, going on LinkedIn and finding artists and sending them all my information. So really in the beginning, it was me putting myself out there. Hey, I see you're an artist, you're an up and coming artist, you have some music out, you're on social media, here's the benefits of having a publicist. Here's what I can do for you. 10 years later, it's a little bit different. My name is known, my brand is known. So now it's a lot of word of mouth, a lot of returning clients, and that's really what it's about. I mean, there's no better promotion than word of mouth.
Yeah.
I get a lot of different artists hit me up to say, hey, so-and-so told me to hit you up because, you did a PR campaign with him and da-da-da-da-da. So definitely word of mouth, I would say at this point.
Yeah. And that's when you're doing it right,
Right.
Because people not going to recommend you when you screwed up their campaign
right.
and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. Especially in that business. And the one thing that I've noticed is that, at least for the people that you've sent to me or that I've reached out, back out to you about, it's not only just music, that you're doing. You have authors and, people that are in other fields as well.
Yes.
And that's awesome.
Yes. I love it because, I get to work with a variety of different people. Yeah. Like you said, authors, filmmakers, artists, models, producers. So, again, it goes back to the social work. It just, everything meshes. Yeah, exactly. It really does.
And the amazing thing is that each and every person that I've had so far has had nothing but amazing things to say about you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah. I think your work kind of speaks for itself.
Thank you.
To this point, and I don't know, how the whole Publicist of the Year, works. I don't know, who votes and all of that kind of stuff, but it doesn't surprise me at this point when I see you make that announcement. And I think I've been working with you for like 2 years now. So
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Who've been some of your favorite people to work with? I won't just say artists, some of your favorite people to work with.
Definitely Rampage. And I say Rampage because, he was my very, very first celebrity interview that I'd ever did. And we're going back, decades. And then a couple of years later, me and his manager started talking and, they kind of brought me into the team. So definitely Rampage, because at this point, it's just like a big brother relationship. We speak every day. Of course, it's always about business and stuff like that. But we've had this working relationship for so many years. He's definitely, my favorite. He always will be. Rampage is the type of man that no matter what the conversation is, that energy and that passion will come out. He could be talking about walking a dog and it's just all that passion and energy coming out of him. It's insane. And you know what? And I love working with him too, because it's not just music when it comes to him. We have so many other things going on. He's got a sneaker line, the water line, so many other endeavors going on, not just in music.
Oh, so
and it's exciting. It's very exciting.
I didn't know that. So after this, we need to talk about getting Rampage up on the show.
Of course we can set that up. Absolutely.
But you actually, when you mentioned him, you actually made me correct myself, because now that I think about it, it's been about 3 years, if not a little longer, because when I was with Power 4.4 Radio, we were actually playing some of his mixes, and you had to start sending me the mixes, and I believe that's how we connected.
Yes,
I think you connected with my partner Jay McGraw first.
Yes. Yep.
To give him some phone interviews. And then I met you through him, and that's how we connected. Now that gosh, it has been about 3 years.
It has been a while. Wow.
Time flies when you're having fun. And
right.
Rampage. Of course, a lot of people, when you hear the name, don't put 2 and 2 together to realize who he is. But he was one of the members of the Flip Mode Squad, and as far as I know, he still kind of carries the mantra.
Absolutely, he's the first lieutenant. And they actually just wrapped up their group project. All the original members are on the album. That should be coming out, hopefully this year, if not this year, the beginning of next year. But we're really, really hyped about that.
And most importantly, he had my favorite verse on the Flavor in Your Ear remix.
Hands down.
He had my favorite verse.
It's not debatable.
A lot of people slept on Ramp.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
As an MC, but he got some bars, and that's definitely my favorite verse.
Absolutely.
And I'm not just saying that so you can get him on the show. I'm saying that because, that 2194, man, that's my favorite. That's my
hands
favorite
down.
person.
I'm with you on that one.
And another person that I really appreciate you helping me connect with was Speech.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Arrested Development. When Speech and what's the producer's name?
Configure.
They came on the show. They were a little bit late, and just to kind of hold time, I played a YouTube video of Arrested Development live in DC, and they were they were killing that show. And when Configure and Speech finally came into the back room, they were having so much fun that I almost wanted to just let the whole concert play. I think it was like a good hour left, but Speech was so down to earth. He was so cool, and again, one of the people that really spoke highly of you. So
his energy is incredible. You know what I mean? Like, it's always been revolutionary. It's always going to be revolutionary. The way he sees things, it's just, He's incredible. And he was another one of my very, very first interviews going back like 10, 12 years.
Okay.
But yeah, when he speaks, I get chills because it's just like I said, it's revolutionary. That's the first word that comes to mind when I think of him. But and very down to earth, very down to earth.
Right. And I'm not going to say that he challenged the Roots to a versus, but when we put the question out there that who would the Roots see in a versus, actually it was Configure who said it first because of the the two bands and the concept of them playing live music. But Speech kind of after he stopped being modest was like, yeah, I'm with the smoke, so so let's go ahead. And I think that would be a real dope versus.
I agree.
Actually, I think since the Locks and Dipset, I think the verses have kind of dropped off a little bit, so they need something to kind of add a spark.
Well, we got Onyx and Cypress Hill up next.
I heard about that.
We shall see what's going to happen with that.
And I don't know what's going on with the promotion, but I didn't even know that they did one yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did one. Apparently, it was like a Easter, special with Mary and BB and CC Winans.
I didn't know that either.
I had no idea. Somebody mentioned it to me today, and I was like, oh, like totally over the head.
I missed that one too.
So let's talk a little bit about Hip Hop Connex.
Yes, MJ's Hip Hop Connex.
MJ's Hip Hop Connex.
And you'll have to excuse my memory because I don't remember how I came up with the name. I really don't. I want to say that somebody kind of put it together for me, but I honestly don't remember how it came about. But I knew that I needed some, a catchy name. Yeah. I wanted to be a little different, so I put the EX at the end of it. And it's really just your one stop for all your PR needs. One stop for everything. I just incorporated, in-house production. We have an in-house DJ. We have distro if you need it. So everything is pretty much in-house. And if there's something that an artist needs that I'm not capable of providing for them, then I'll refer them to, I have a lot of partners. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. I have a couple of partners that I trust 100%. And we've referred clients back and forth to each other. So if I can't do it for an artist, I'm not going to say I can do it for an artist because a lot of people will do that. Yeah, we can do that. We'll get that done. I'm very honest with my clients, what I can and what, is not in my realm of what I can do. So if it's not in MJ's Hip Hop Connex, then we will definitely refer you to another source that can get it done for you.
I want to ask you a very interesting question because I have my thought process of what I see as a publicist / public relations, whatever it is that you want to.
Right.
Are you responsible for and with the people that you work with, you may have never even had these issues, but I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about when an athlete does something stupid and they're in the news for, whatever it may be, their public relations person is the one that has to come up with this cleanup speech, so to speak.
Right.
And either, pretty much compose a speech for the athlete or the person in general, or be the spokesperson, the liaison between that person and the media. Do you serve in that capacity as well?
I do. And I don't know if it's because it's a so-called job under the umbrella, but for me personally, if an artist is not moving right and I'm representing them, they're tainting my brand and my name. And I refuse to have that. I don't care how small or big the artist is. I don't play with that. And I've had a couple of instances where I had to, call out a client on a couple of things. One client is doing, an interview like we're doing a video. He's laying in bed with no shirt on and he's doing an interview.
What?
Yeah. And I said to the interviewer, you should have just ended the interview. Why did you conduct the interview?
I'm shutting that down immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm shutting that down. That's not happening.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And then you get some artists that once they start seeing their own progression, sometimes a little bit of arrogance comes into play instead of being humble.
No.
Yes.
Impossible.
It's crazy. So yeah, a lot of times I do jump in, and again, it's not because I have to, it's just because I'm representing you. So when you act a fool, you're making my brand look like a fool as well, and I can't have that.
Yeah, that's so important these days because you know, even with a podcast like this, you know, access granted, you know, the day that I started doing this became a brand. And
Exactly.
you know, I want everything, whether it was this or whether it was Baltimore Flavor Radio or whether it was Power 4.4 when, or, you know, Worldwide Flavor when I had the stations. Like you said, everything that happens, you know, the shows, like when I was a co-owner of the radio stations, every show that I brought in or that we brought in, because it was, you know, my partners now, was
Right.
a reflection of our brand. So we didn't want a lot of ratchet, you know,
That's right.
stuff happening on air, and you know, we were very cognizant of the language that was being used, the music
Right.
that was being played, and people, you know, not to disrespect the younger generation, but people don't understand that because it seems like it's so much the standard. But the
Yeah.
one thing that I always try to tell people is that I know my demographics of people that watch me,
Right.
and a lot of those people don't want to hear some of the stuff that, you know, they don't want to hear the F bomb, you know, every
Exactly.
other, you know, and stuff like that. And I think people, you know, in the industry have to really be aware of how fragile, you know, your brand can be and how quickly it can be shut down,
Yes.
you know, as a result of just, you know, one mistake.
Absolutely.
Really
And
don't
that goes
understand.
back to artist development too, because a lot of times, you know, the younger guys coming up in the game, they need prepping on, you know, how to interview.
Yes. Yes.
They
Yes.
really do.
And I mean,
Absolutely.
and it's understandable though, because you know, you're talking about a lot of, and I'm just gonna say young black men in general, because it's the majority of us as far as hip hop is concerned.
Hmm.
That we're coming straight off the streets, you know,
Right.
we're coming straight out of, you know, whatever neighborhood, and proper English is a thing of the past in a lot of, you know,
Yeah.
and they can't, you have a lot of them that need that training in order to be able to transition from, you know, the way you talk to your homeboy as opposed
Right.
to the way that you talk to the person that's interviewing you.
Right.
And the one thing that I learned in doing this is that, you know, especially when I was doing radio, um, you have people that act like they're doing you a favor when they come be on your show. A lot of young people, a lot of very new people, you know, they act like
Yes.
they're doing you a favor. And I had to tell a few people, like, nah, bro, you know, more people
Exactly.
know me than know you, because you just put out your first record last week. You
Right.
know what I mean? Nobody here knows you, bro. I'm trying to, you
Right.
know, I liked your song and I believe in you, so I'm trying to, you know, help you, you know, you get
Exactly.
a new audience, and you know, try to get you some fans that, you know, you might not have otherwise. But it's a real fine line, you know, a real fine balance.
It
That's,
really is.
well, but the artist development part is very important.
It's
And
crucial.
as far as your artist development training, like what does that entail?
So usually it's over the phone. You know, I'll have a conversation with the artist when they hit me up and they're ready to move forward with a PR campaign. You know, one of the things that I ask them first is, you know, are you willing to take guidance and advice? Are you willing to hear, you know, constructive criticism? Are you willing to hear if, you know, maybe your music is off? Maybe you need to do this with your music. And the first thing also is, are you willing to, if you don't already know and learn the history of hip hop, regardless of the lane that you're going to be in, whether it's trap, mumble, even anything, whatever lane you're going to be in, you still need to know and learn the history, regardless of the lane. And that's one of the things I stress so much because it's so important.
I take it you grew up as a hip hop head.
Of course.
That statement alone lets me know that you grew up as a hip hop.
Yes,
That's
it's
awesome.
imperative.
Yeah.
You can't move in this industry unless you know the history. And again, a lot of the young guys or girls, whatever, artists in general that come up in this generation now, think that the only thing they need to do is get on the mic and put music out, and they're an artist. You know, that's only 10% of it, if that. So it's a lot. And then you have some artists that are be up front and say, no, I'm not changing my music. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. All money's not good money. You know, I've turned down working with artists just because they refuse to change their mentality or be open to changing their mentality to be successful.
So they pretty much stagnate themselves at that point.
Exactly.
They'll be the ones that you don't hear about next year, you know.
Right. Or tomorrow.
Or tomorrow, you know. So let me ask you this. Not sure how long you've been in the game as a whole, but how do you feel like the presence of the internet and social media has changed, not only from the artist side, of course, but from your perspective and what it is that you do?
I think that, you know, there's pros and cons when you talk about that.
Absolutely.
I think when I think of the, you know, the OGs who have the street team ability under their belts, if social media and internet and everything tech-wise crashed, they would still know how to put out music. They would still know how to get their fans and keep their fans. But on the flip side of that, the younger generation, if everything was to crash, they don't have that knowledge and sometimes capability to go out there and get a street team and do all that. So I think it varies a lot of the ways, and that's one of the things, you know, that I stress too, is bridging the gap in you know, that generational gap in hip hop, because the young kids can learn from the OGs, but the OGs can learn from the young ones too. Because not, you know, a lot of the OGs, sometimes I notice they just put out music, you know, like, oh shit, so-and-so just dropped an album. Like, what? I didn't even know that was a thought process, or, you know, that they were thinking of creating a new album.
KRS-One. KRS-One is a prime example. We just dropped the album like 3 weeks ago. Nobody knew about it. Nobody. So a lot of times I think they think that their name alone, you know, is going to, you know, cause this big presence and, you know, But again, they're not too savvy on the tech side of it and the importance of social media and digital marketing and all of that. And that's where the younger generation can really help with that. Do you think that there can ever be a time where there's a full marriage of the two? I mean,
I do, and I see it. I see it with Billy Danze. I see it with Rampage. You know, we hold our monthly Heat DJ Coalition conference call once a month, and artists come on the line and they break their new music. And the majority of the artists that are coming on are younger artists that are breaking their music. We also have legendary artists that are on the line as well. They might be dropping some music, or they may just be dropping some jewels. So that interaction with the young artists and, you know, some of the legends and pioneers that we have on, the interaction and, you know, the communication going on between the two of them really is a beautiful thing. Billy Danze is another one. You know, although he still puts out that, you know, that heavy hitting, you know, MOP vibe, he brings in a lot of younger producers, collabs with a lot of younger artists. And even though, you know, he's got that classic, you know, hard thumping bass and just that New York vibe, he does incorporate a little bit of that newer age sound. So it's kind of a blend of both. Not everyone can do that. He does it to perfection. And he's big on, you know, bringing old and new and new and old together. So those are the two people I think of. And I definitely think it can be done. Both need to be open-minded. Absolutely. You know what I mean? If you're an OG, don't shit on a young guy just because you don't like their music. Yeah. Don't listen to it.
Remember that you were remember that you were a young guy and people didn't like your music 25 years ago.
Exactly. You know, and that's what I say to everybody. Instead of putting somebody down just because you don't like their music, you know, what is something positive? They're hungry, they're eager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have a team, they have a budget, they're working. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't have to like their music. You know, when we grew up, we didn't like every single category of rap that there was. I know I personally didn't.
Absolutely.
Hip hop is going to continue to evolve and evolve.
Shout out to Billy Danze. I had an opportunity to meet him kind of in passing. Some years ago, there used to be a festival called the Rock the Bells Festival.
Yes.
That used to come to Baltimore every year. And I went to every last Rock the Bells festival that came here, by the way. And one year, MOP was on the show with Busta Rhymes and KRS-One, and there was a bunch of people. And I'll never forget that because they have it at a outside venue when it comes here.
Right.
And there's a main stage, and then there's a festival stage in the back. And you always had to look at the schedule to see who you wanted to see on the main stage, who you wanted to see on the backstage.
Right.
At this time, Annie Up Remix is my favorite song, hands down. I got Busta Rhymes in the building. I got MOP in the building. I know I'm getting the Annie Up Remix, but the crazy part about it was, and this just shows you how down to earth these artists can be. You got KRS-One running around with these big Hawk gloves on, big Hawk hands. He's running around, and Spliff Star has a water gun, and they're running around like literally messing with everybody. That's out in the venue, in the venue area and everywhere. And I'm laughing at them, and I'm talking to my boy, and I just happen to glance to my right, and Billy Danze is leaning on a tree with a bottle of Hennessy and a blunt in his hand. And I was like, yo, that's Billy. And he just gave me this nod, like, what's up, homie? He was like, yo, y'all doing Annie Up, right? He was like, well, we don't perform without doing Annie Up.
Of
and
course.
In the building. He was like, nigga, you damn right, we gonna kill it. So I was like, yes. And of course, needless to say, they demolished that joint. It felt like the roof was getting ready to come off when they did the remix joint to that. My true goal in life is to see every artist on that Annie Up remix perform that song.
That would be insane.
And everybody.
Absolutely, that would be insane.
Shout out to Billy Danze, man. Definitely a legend.
Yeah, he's another one who's extremely down to earth. And it's so funny because when I set up interviews for him, sometimes the hosts are a little intimidated because they just automatically assume they're going to get that stage persona. And he's the complete opposite when you're having a normal conversation with him. His tone is soft. You know what I mean? It's just different. But a lot of people are intimidated because that's what they associate him with. And he's quite the opposite. So
being 5,000% transparent, that's actually the reason that I haven't reached out about him or Freddie. I'm being honest.
I love
it. Because for one, I would love to have both members,
Right.
But you also, because I've never seen him do an interview, so I don't know how he is in that realm. And I didn't want to get him up here and be like, oh, I don't want to ask him all your questions. And
well, we'll get him up there for you, and you'll see. You'll be taken back like, wow.
That's awesome.
Funny story about Billy Danze too. A very, very funny story. Back when COVID first hit, and my daughter was home, I was homeschooling her. My friends had to work, so I had her kids too. So I have 3 kids in my house, homeschooling, all different ages. And Billy Danze calls me, and a lot of times when we talk, we're just shooting the shit. Mm-hmm. But this time we had like a major deadline that we had, like it had to be done at that moment. So I have homeschooling going on, and I'm also trapping squirrels in my laundry room. So the minute Billy Danze calls me, I got the phone like this. I'm in the laundry room. The squirrel jumps in the cage. I'm running out of the laundry room. Everyone in the house is screaming. And he's like, MJ, you good? Do I need to call somebody?
So you got the mother, the publicist, and the squirrel catcher.
It was so funny. And he was so calm. He was just like, do I need to call somebody for you?
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. One of the funniest things I've ever seen Billy do. there's a video on YouTube where they're basically walking through Brownsville.
Right.
And at some point they decide that they're going to go look for bootleggers. And they're walking down the street with aluminum bats in their hands. I love MOP, man. MOP is definitely probably top 10 greatest groups of all times for me, just because they're so different. They're so different. You know, their energy level is different.
Absolutely. A whole nother level.
Yeah. And you know, thank God I had a chance to see them perform live. I really, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here jealous right now because I'm sitting here looking at this picture of you and another lady who's on my hip hop bucket list.
Oh, yes.
Queen Latifah.
She's on my bucket list too. That didn't even count. We have the same bucket list.
And I don't have, and my list isn't my actual interview list of, I have more people that I still want to see perform live.
Right.
Than I actually want to interview. If I get the chance to interview whoever, then that's fine. But
right.
Latifah, she, you know,
there's no words.
That lady's first video and the Had It Up to Here joint, man, is like, and you took a picture with her, and I'm so jealous right now. I think I want to end the interview. I'm jealous.
You know what? That wasn't even anything music related at all. So part of it, when I was a social worker, I was deployed by FEMA during Hurricane Sandy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. As a crisis counselor. So during that time, they were doing a lot of rebuilding of school playgrounds and things like that. So I believe she sponsored one, or I don't remember how that took place, but she was coming down to help with, you know, the rebuilding, the construction. I mean, like cement, wood chips, everything. And she came down, and I'll never forget it, because she came down, she had her Tim's on, jeans, t-shirt, hair pulled back, like she knew she was going to get in the dirt with everybody else.
So that was Dana and not
Yes,
Queen.
exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And I had a couple opportunities to kind of interact with her, but it didn't happen, because I'm carrying cement, she's carrying something else. We're you know, crossing our paths.
Right.
And then finally, when we went to the kids section where the kids are like decorating and stuff like that, you know, I had a brief second to just, you know, introduce myself and, you know, tell her what an inspiration she was to me, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. But she's funny too, because there was certain press that was invited. And then, you know, of course you have people that want to sneak through the bushes and stuff like that.
Of course.
Well, she got real, she got real Newark on them quick. It was so funny to see, because she didn't care who was around or what cameras were on her. She was like, "You're not supposed to be here. Get the fuck out." It was classic. A
lot of people don't realize there's a difference between Dana and Queen Latifah.
Absolutely.
It's a big difference. Like
absolutely.
Queen Latifah is the makeup commercials.
Yes.
You know, and all of that stuff you see. You know, Dana, like you said, pulls up in Tim's and a hoodie.
Yes. But you know what is so beautiful about it is that she'll bring Dana out whenever and wherever. She doesn't hide her. She's always there.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I ever get fortunate enough to interview her, you can be my co-host for that show.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Ever make that happen. Dana or Latifah, whichever one of y'all might be watching today.
Yes.
We definitely want to give you guys a holler. So like what's on board for you, like for the rest of 2022? You have any new people that you're going to be working with, or any, like, you know, other projects or stuff that you might be doing?
So I just started working with Young Hump and Money B. They have some new music out. They have Young Hump has a new album out, and they have a collaborative album that's going to be coming out soon.
Is this Digital Underground?
Yes, from Digital Underground.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, so they have that. They have a collaborative project coming out, the two of them. Young Hump has his own album out. they have a hot summer banger track that's exclusive right now, only for DJs, because it's NFT and that's stuff that I don't understand. So don't ask me. Right. But anyone that wants information on, you know, the whole NFT thing and the metaverse thing, Money B would be more than happy to break it down. I mean, he'll get on a live and break it down for you. He'll get on the phone with you and break it down for you. If that's something you want to, you know, learn about or whatever, that's your go-to guy for all of that stuff.
He's been around for a while, man.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm excited, you know, to be working with them. I will eventually this year get back into radio. I definitely miss that. But it's just, you know, picking what's the right platform, you know, for myself. I do have a couple of review shows that I jump on a couple of times a month on different stations, which for right now is okay. While I'm kind of, you know, feeling everything out of where I want to be in terms of radio. I'm also starting a virtual artist development. I don't want to call it class, but you know, about an hour where we kind of break down the science of of artistry and what's expected of an artist and what they expect from professionals that they hire. So we're going to be doing that probably on a monthly basis.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of stuff, Rampage, you know, a lot of stuff I can't speak about right now, but there's a lot of things in the works, you know, besides the sneakers and besides the water. Rampage keeps me busy. I got to tell you that. He keeps me going. Because once he's done with something else, he's got an immediate thought, you know, to start something else.
I'm not mad at him at all for that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And then, you know, working with, like I said, it's always a pleasure and always rewarding to, you know, work with returning customers. Because I get to see, you know, where they are now from where, you know, they were when we first started working together, you know, and that's the most rewarding part of it, honestly, is just to see an artist progress.
Yeah. I remember when I first started out doing radio, the show was called Baltimore Flavor Radio. So of course, you know, 95% of it was geared to, you know, artists and, you know, actors and dancers and singers, everything from Baltimore. And the one thing that always made me the most proud was when, after I had a chance to interview a person for the first time, they would come back to me a year or so later and be like, yo, I'm dropping a new album. I'm bringing it to you first. So I want to, you know, interview with you first, and so on and so forth. Like that return, you know, yes.
You can't put a price tag on it. You really can't.
It means a lot.
It does.
And I don't think people realize that, like when you're in major radio, like if you're on like the Breakfast Club,
right? You
know, something like that. Shout out to Jay McGraw. He just checked in with his Power 4.4 radio, the station where the people are the power. When you're in that big of a market on a big show like that, then, you know, the returning artists are what they are. You know, that's kind of like when they're making their media rounds. That's where they come.
Right.
But on, you know, smaller shows like this, and, you know, the shows that we had, you know, with Baltimore Flavor Radio, it means a lot.
It does.
To your brand as a whole, when someone, you know, reaches out to you and says, hey, I want to come back.
Right.
Or whatever the case may be. Even and a lot of times, it's even if they're not dropping a project, it's like, yo, I just want to come back because I like the vibe.
Right.
I like the conversation. You know what I'm saying? That to me is like winning the MVP.
Absolutely. You can't put a price tag on that.
Yeah.
You really can't. You know, one of my favorite things too is when artists are about to drop a new project, you know, and weeks before they're about to, you know, release it or whatever, you know, MJ, check your inbox. You know, and it's like, oh, I get to hear something before anybody else in the whole entire world.
So that's funny that you said that, because I'm the same way when you send those emails out now. I'm like, oh, she got some stuff that I'm going to hear before, you know, Joe Blow, you know, hears it. You know what I mean? I love that.
That's too funny.
You already know, bro. Shout out to my sister Pudding. Pudding in the building. But yeah, that's a major happy moment for me when people, you know, that want to come back.
Definitely.
Yeah, I can relate. I can relate. So what else you want to talk about before we get out of here? You got anything pressing? You know what? Let me ask you this, because I've never asked this to a person that's not an actual artist. Give me your top 5 favorite MCs.
Oh my God, I hate this top 5 question.
Come on. I hate them too. Let me
just say this. For me, it was the women of hip hop. Because growing up, I was a teenager when I first, like 13 when I first heard, Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, Yo-Yo, all of them.
So why didn't you start rapping?
Listen, I do got bars. I'm a poet. I got some bars.
Don't play.
I can't freestyle, so don't ask me to spit right now, but I could write you something.
Come on.
But when you're 13 years old, like that's a critical time. Like you're trying to figure out, who you are, what you want to be.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fucking amazing that these women came out, not as a sex symbol, not as a video vixen, in their jeans, in their Timbs, in a t-shirt, got on the mic. And some of them were a lot better than the men in the industry and not only that, they held their own in a male-dominated industry.
Jay McGraw said, Dylon, 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 and Dylon. Hey, look, but you know what? It's funny that you say that, because for me, the Moni Love verse on Ladies First.
Oh my God.
Totally changed my perspective of the woman MC. I was like, damn, she just demolished this joint.
Yep.
And then Lady of Rage came out and just forever made me fall in love with women hip hop in general.
You got Rod Digga, Lyric Jones. You got so many out there. And till this day, they're still holding their. Look at Queen Latifah. There's nothing that she hasn't done in music or outside of music. She's a fucking legend. Here I am talking about artist development and not cursing, and I'm cursing like a truck driver.
God, I wish I spent a lot of the last 20 years wishing Latifah would drop another hip hop album.
Oh man.
I would give anything for a Queen Latifah album.
I would too. I really would.
Amazing. Then I would have to hunt her down and try to get an interview.
Yeah.
What took you so long, woman?
Listen, I tried during that whole, Hurricane Sandy thing. I had asked one of her bodyguards, can I just go in there and, get an autograph or something like that? And he was like, sure, come on. And as he's walking me to the bus, there were bodyguards in the bus yelling at the other bodyguard, like, what are you doing? You can't just bring people on the bus. Da-da-da-da-da. I felt bad. I almost got him fired, but I definitely tried. It just wasn't the right time or place.
Yeah, but you know what? That's when Queen Latifah should have been like, oh, she's cool. Come on.
She wasn't in the bus at that time, though.
Well, that's what makes it even worse then, because she wasn't.
I know.
Yeah, he should have been fired.
Yeah, they should have been. You're right.
Should have been fired. Yeah. This has been dope, man. I'm glad I had this.
Me too, definitely.
To chop it up with you. Puddin is seconding your Rod Digga. Rod Digga is just different, man.
Mm-hmm.
Rod Digga and Remy Ma are just different when it comes to MCing. Like,
yeah.
I really think they can outspit about 75% of the dudes.
Agreed. Definitely agreed.
But let everybody know, MJ, how they can follow you. For Baltimore people, Baltimore artists, singers, rappers,
yes,
authors, whatever the case may be, you need this kind of representation in your life. So let people know how they can follow you and possibly become, a future client of.
Sure. So it's MJ's Hip Hop Connex. And again, that's with an EX. And that's on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, all of them. My website, you can go to my website where every service is broken down on, what you'll get. And that's MJ's Hip Hop Connex.biz. And also all my information is also on my blog site. MJ's hhconnects.blogspot.com. So
yeah, just inbox me and I'll send y'all the information.
Yeah, exactly. But you can just Google me. Everything about me will come up when you Google my website, my the blog site, my social media. Everything will pop up.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those people, let me just say too, that I don't really charge an artist for a consultation. Like a lot of times artists will come in my DM or whatever and ask me a million questions. I have no problem answering them, so they get a better understanding. Even if they don't come back to me for services, that knowledge is important. Very important.
Kesha, I wish you were making that on the other page so I could actually show it on screen. But Kesha, my girl Puddin, says she's a beast, and that she is. And I can
thank you.
I can personally vouch for the fact that
I appreciate that.
And shout out to my man Jay McGraw, because he's the one that made the connection in order for
absolutely. Shout out to him for sure.
And he's still doing his thing at Power 4.4 Radio, and so make sure you keep sending him some music and all of that good stuff like that. Yeah. Damn, this has been good, man.
Yes.
I've been waiting, and I feel like I could go on for another hour, but I'm gonna keep it early. Again, I want to give some shout outs again to my sister Alenia Renee. Prayers up for your daughter. Thankfully she is home and resting after her emergency today. I know it was tough. I as a parent never want to get a phone call at 4:30 in the morning and say your kid is being rushed to the hospital. I'm totally gonna lose it at that point.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, like a 2-hour drive to get to her kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's in college.
Oh.
And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of DJ K Slay.
Yes.
The unfortunate passing. I've been watching some interviews of K Slay today, and he's just a funny dude, man. K Slay he's just different.
I don't think people really understand how much of a staple he was in hip hop. I mean, for over 40 years. Like, this is not like 10 or 50, over 40 years.
And that's why I specifically made the comment in the beginning that he was DJ Khaled before DJ Khaled was even thought about,
And, really quick, I got to say this, because I'm not one to vent or anything like that, but why did DJ Khaled get his star before so many other prominent DJs? I'm sorry. There's not a lot of things that irk me in this music industry because I get it, but that irked me. That's a whole nother show right there, right?
So now that you've opened this can, I personally am not a big fan of DJ Khaled.
Me either.
I personally feel like there are so many other DJs, real DJs, by the way. Because if you go on YouTube and you pull up a video of DJ Khaled DJing, there's one video where he's in a radio station and he has somebody else putting the records on.
Oh my God.
Switching back and forth. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And he doesn't have the greatest skills as a DJ. I'll just leave it at that. But I just feel like there are so many other people, DJ Khaled, not DJ Khaled, K Slay, DJ Clue, DJ Drama. There's so many other people that were doing this. And I feel like he just happened to be the right person at the right time that met the right people.
Right.
And got plugged in.
Yeah.
I'm not a DJ. Even if it's for no other reason than the fact that I don't want to hear your name 20 times on a song, I'm not a DJ Khaled fan.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And this isn't, this isn't me coming in as a hater, because, as soon as you say you don't like somebody, yes, DJ Jazzy Jeff, my favorite DJ of all time. When you say that you don't like a person, that, you're automatically labeled a hater. I just have a choice of who I like and who I don't like. And I'm not a fan at all of Khaled. Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. I wouldn't even DJ. I wouldn't DJ. I wouldn't even interview Khaled. I wouldn't.
Really? Wow.
Khaled. No. Because I can ask him all of the politically correct questions and everything.
Right. But
at some point, we're going to talk about that video that I just mentioned. And at some point, we're going to talk about some other stuff.
Right.
No, Jay, not even Jay-Z has a star yet, but they gave one to DJ Khaled.
Yeah, I just
like, what is the mindset?
Mind-boggling.
But as you said, that's another show for another day.
Absolutely.
MJ, I definitely appreciate. Yeah, because don't get me started on that. I could go for about 20 minutes on how I feel about Khaled. But shout out to him. I mean, he's doing his thing.
Absolutely.
Man is making a lot of money.
Can't knock him.
He has one of the most amazing sneaker collections I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if my basement that I'm in right now, at least this side of the basement, is big enough to hold his sneaker collection. So shout out to him. Just not my fan.
Right.
It's not my thing. From a music standpoint. But yeah, MJ, I definitely appreciate you hanging out, and like I said, I shout you out like every other show because it seems
I appreciate that.
I have, come to you. So I'm going to continue to look forward, to the blast that I get. What seems like at least once, if not 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes when you're in your groove. So keep doing what you're doing. Like I said, every guest that I've had up through you has said nothing but great things about you. And I reciprocate that, from this side of it. So we definitely appreciate
Thank you.
What you do. And if you want to come back in about a year or so and
let's do it.
Stuff, we can make that happen as well. I definitely appreciate you, sis.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Shout out to you got to go back on my page after this and read because Jamie's talking stuff about you now.
About me?
Get ready. Go punch him in the face.
I can fight.
Hey, she from South Jersey, bro.
I can fight.
Hey, MJ, I appreciate you, sis. Always love, always
likewise.
Respect. Again, got a couple of more things that we got to talk about that I want to do afterwards.
Of course.
And then I'm gonna go holler at Queen Latifah and see if we can get her on.
Yeah, let's tag team on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to everybody that tuned in with us tonight. Make sure you guys keep us locked next Monday at 7:00. Thanks to MJ. We will have Dress from Black Sheep.
Yes.
Oh boy.
He's got a lot of things cooking up.
Boy, I can't wait. If I gotta find a live version of them performing so that I can throw that on without getting kicked off. Because if you play the video, if you play the song, they kick you off of there.
Right.
Definitely looking forward to that. And of course, remember to keep us locked this Friday. My man Kojo from Annapolis will be the feature artist of the week on our acapellas and acoustic segment. Definitely looking forward to that. Jay McGraw, I love you, bro. Aunt Puddin', I love you. Everybody enjoy your evening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you again.
Thank you, MJ. Appreciate you.